G'day again, John down under tunage here in Melbourne, Australia. I finally been able to get behind a video camera and do a vid. Yeah, I'd sort of stuffed my hand up and wrist doing some computer processing and culling a whole lot of bird images that I had on my hard drive, and yeah, got a bit of an RSI issue that's kept me out of action for a few weeks. I'm not 100%, but at least I can sort of hold a record up. So yeah, should be able to do a video. So yeah, apologies if it gets a bit rusty because been a while since I've done this. The first thing I want to do is, an apology to Ben Rankins' channel because he put a really good Aussie competition out last month about, sort of 10 questions related to Australian stuff. And being a fellow Aussie, I should have had a go at it, but circumstances stopped me. So I'll just quickly chuck in my what I would have put in because I had everything ready, but just couldn't put a video out. So so sorry, Ben, but loved your prize too, and fantastic. Yeah, we call them Clayton's things. Yeah, they're like the thing you have when you haven't got something. Yeah, it was an old ad in the 1980s from Jack Thompson for some non-alcoholic drink that could still be around, but so they were called Clayton's. Yeah, something like that. You call it a Clayton's prize. So yeah, good one, Ben. But so what I'll do is so his first question is who's your favourite artist or band? For me, it's fairly easy. Yeah, I could have picked Go-Betweens, Died Pretty, Underground Lovers, Falling Joys, even Hummingbirds, Crystal Set. That's another one I really like. But for just consistent all round over the years, The Church. Love their stuff, and why they didn't get bigger, I don't know, but it doesn't matter because those that know, and can enjoy it without being overexposed on radio and stuff. So yeah, The Church is my favourite Aussie band. Question 2 is a single or album from the 60s. I don't have the exact 60s copies of what stuff, but I've got a couple to show that I'll put on. Ronnie Burns and Smiley, and that's the song. Yeah, Smiley. You're off to the Asian War, blah, blah, blah. So it's a bit of a protest song. And that was written by Johnny Young, who was our Young Talent Time host, amongst other things. Plus he was obviously a pretty good songwriter because, it's a really good track. So that's the first one is Smiley by Ronnie Burns. And the second one, I had to go 1.5 because one of the ones I thought was from the 60s is actually just into 1970, so I couldn't count it off this. But this is a sort of a best of Russell Morris. And the pretty obvious choice is The Real Thing, which was also written by Johnny Young and produced by our countdown host of the 70s and 80s, Mr. Molly Meldrum. And so The Real Thing, that's a bit of a classic track from the 60s that, quite a lot of Aussies would be well familiar with. And the other one I would have liked to put in was the song on this called Rachel. That's an utterly brilliant track as well, but apparently that came out in April 1970, so that just didn't make the 60s. Question 3 is an album from the 90s. Wish List by the Falling Joys. Jangle pop sort of sound, independent. Didn't go on, but the sort of indie stations love them. And Wish List from 1990, so it just makes it because we lost most of vinyl by 91. So these 1990 pressings can be pretty hard to find. There's a few bands that their records go for hundreds now because there's just so few vinyl ones pressed because everybody's into CDs. Susie Higgy's female lead singer of this band, and she's got this gorgeous husky sort of nasally voice, and she's quite a looker too, just quietly. But if you don't know them, look them up. Falling Joys. A punk album. Don't do much punk because I'm sort of more the sort of chilled indie sound, jangle pop type music. But you can't argue with this. The Saints, Eternally Yours, which of course ended up being an utterly brilliant track by Ed Cooper. And love it for Know Your Product. So that's my punk choice. An album female. I'll put a few in because yeah, Joanna Pigott. She had a little project called Scribble, and yeah, really quirky woman. She was in I think the band's the XL Capris. Yeah, they're sort of a very independent band, and one of their singles is like a $500 plus one, or something about Sydney or something, but obviously I've never found it. But yeah, she put out a couple of albums as Scribble, and yeah, she did a bit. She's with I think it's Todd Hunter, one of the guys from Dragon, and yeah, she sort of helped Johnny Farnham on his comeback, which yeah, good one, Joanna. Thanks for that. But she wrote, I think it's You're the Voice. She wrote one of the songs, and of course that was huge. Another one. As the garbage truck comes past. Look at them, the Shantuzies. 1980s, great stuff. Love the Shantuzies. And this was a recent find. I'd been chasing it for quite a while, but I finally got a copy on vinyl. This is Curious Yellow, which was taken from a Swedish film of the 60s, I think. And this is Charms and Blues, the only album she put out. And this is a Red Eye Records, which I could have used for the labels, but yeah, and blue vinyl. Yeah, not an easy one to find. Yeah, Karen Jansen. And she was Steve Kilby's partner at the time. And, oh, did she co-write? I know she co-wrote, well, I think it was Under the Milky Way. She obviously worked with Steve, and Steve worked with her, because, yeah, his fingerprints are all over the production and whatnot of this album. But, yeah, it's really nice. It's sort of a female version of The Church, maybe, I don't know. But, yeah, if you ever see this, and it's not too expensive, I'd recommend you jump onto it. So Charms and Blues and Curious Yellow, or Karen Jansen. Now what do we got? A non-Australian song with an Aussie connection. Well, those who know that I adore Kate Bush, that was a pretty easy one to choose. And yeah, the 7-inch single she had for The Dreaming. So there's a Australian connection just there with the Aboriginal art, and of course that's about Indigenous people and whatever. Came out in 82, and that was the title of the album as well. And yeah, it's probably not a good thing to talk about now, but Rolf Harris does the didgeridoo on this, so there you have it. Yeah, she wrote him out of one of the tracks on Aerial, the 2005 album, but as far as I know, she hasn't written him out of this one yet, so we'll watch this space. We'll see what happens, because Rolf is persona non grata these days, I think. An Australian album put out in the last 10 years. Yeah, I'll go with Staring at You, Staring at Me by the Underground Lovers, or has been fantastically called them the Undies. Yeah, Rubber Records, the sort of the latest stuff, very minimalistic labelling, but yeah, that's just my sort of style of music, sort of indie chilled stuff. Nothing too thrashy, but still, yeah, well worthy of a listen. So the Underground Lovers, I think this came out in 2017. The one I'm really targeting is their, what was this, I think 92. I've only got a CD, Leaves Me Blind. It's got the absolutely gorgeous track Your Eyes, and this is fantastic shoegazy, a little bit cool, really nice stuff. But I think the only way to get the vinyl is in England. I think I'm pretty sure there wouldn't have been a local release, but I think there's a British vinyl of this. But yeah, I'm pretty sure it's pretty pricey and a bit of pain to get it into Australia. So that's one that I'm hoping they'll re-release. Australian reference in the artwork. This is a bit harder than I thought. And I'll throw in this utterly gorgeous album, Born Sandy Devotional from the Triffids. And that is an aerial shot of a place called Mandurah in West Australia. I think it is about 50k south of Perth. Yeah, don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure that's roughly where it is. I know it is close to Perth. And this is a 1960s aerial photo of the area, of the river. Oh God, what's the river? Yeah, but you'd be pretty sure if they redid this shot, it'd be covered in houses now. So that's the first one. And the second one, which is a bit more subtle because I didn't realise at the time, but I was looking at this album a few days ago and realised, and that's the alternate cover for Rock and Roll Women by Cheetah, Chrissy and Lindsay Hammond, sisters. And they're walking around, like it's pretty dark, but there's, you can see Ayers Rock in the background, so they're in Central Australia for this. So that's the other one I can show. Australian compilation albums. I've got the odd one. I don't sort of get that many. Should try a bit harder to find it, but I've got a couple that are Volume 1 and Volume 2. And this is on the Ruart label. There's Youngblood 1 and Youngblood 2. These are, I think this is 88, and the Youngblood 2 came out in 1990. And you've got, who we got in, yeah, there's a few bands I sort of liked that had sort of tracks. Rat Cat, yeah, they had this song that either you love it or hate it called Don't Go Now. It was a huge hit for them. I think this is obviously prior to that. So there's one band I remember. And that's, what else did they have? There's a couple of songs I know. But yeah, you get a little bit of info and stuff on them. So like Fear of Falling, that's a band I really like. So they're in there. So that's a couple of compilation albums. And I could have used that as the next question, but I thought I'll put a couple of other ones on because they're sort of a bit more left field, I suppose you could say. And this is the classic song by Doug Mulray. He was a bit of a DJ and guy in the sort of 70s, 80s, I think, he's mainly Sydney, but yeah, he was quite a funny guy, and he infamously had a show on Kerry Packer's network that was called Australia's Naughtiest Home Videos, and they had these naughty, like animals copulating and stuff like that, and Kerry Packer had been watching at the time, and he thundered on the phone to the producers of the TV at the time to pull that word off the air, and of course they couldn't for another 15-20 minutes because they had to have another half-hour gap, so they could put another show in. But yeah, it famously got pulled, and yeah, I'm pretty sure Mulray would have never worked for Kerry Packer again because he was a famous guy that if you crossed him, you were in big trouble. But that was on the Raw Prawn label. Yeah, there's not many records came out on this label, but yeah, it's a sort of a Aussie saying, yeah, don't come the raw prawn, which sort of like don't bullshit me sort of thing, but that's one of the quirkier labels, and it's a really funny song too. Yeah, you are soul. And if you see the video, you can see a few sort of mainly Sydney identities doing the miming some of it as well. It was really good fun. And another one that was on that label, there's another bit of a clown, was Jacko. This is his I'm an Individual, the 7-inch version. Yeah, I had a look at the 12. I've got the 12 as well, and that's on Mushroom, so that's just on a standard one. But this is also a raw prawn. Yeah, Jacko was a well-known footballer in the 1980s, and I think he did Energizer battery ads or something. I can't remember. He did a few ads in the 90s as well, so there's our footballer Jacko Jackson and the Raw Prawn label. And another one that a bit more probably serious, I suppose you could say. This is this is Fear of Falling. And that's another, one of those bands I really like. And they're on Phantom Phantom Records. And a lot of the Fear of Falling there, all their singles are, you get a coloured vinyl as well as a choice, which wasn't very common those days, but that's on Phantom. What else do they have? Yeah, Vanilla Chainsaws, Hummingbirds, they're probably their well-known one. Yeah, they were sort of fairly popular in the very early 90s, very late 80s. Deadly Hume, that was another band. So yeah, I sort of chase up that stuff when I can. And his last question, AC/DC, yes or no? Well, yes. Easy as that. And more particularly, Bon Scott era. We just had a show last week. It's called Australian Story on ABC here. And they had sort of a bit of a background from, especially his brother was speaking. And yeah, there's a bit of a back around behind Bon and whatever. And when you think he only 33 when he died, and it's well over 33 years since then. So yeah, it's a bit of a long time. But yeah, I absolutely love their stuff. But I've only got CDs. Yeah, we're thinking of just going heck with it and spending hundreds of dollars getting all the original Blu-ray pressings, as they're called, or the sort of very early pressings, because they'd be fantastic sounding and they're just historical items that you should have, I suppose. But yeah, we're in one shop, and what do we have? Yeah, one of the shops in Melbourne here, they had these two on vinyl, the original. This was a third pressing, and this was a first. That's what they were showing on the wall, and for both, it'd be 950 Australian dollars. So there you go. They're crazy. They go for crazy money. I think this one was 750. Looked really nice, but yeah, he's going to drop 750 on a original copy. And this was, like I said, about a third pressing, and it was still $200. But it looked nice, but yeah. So AC/DC as vinyl originals at the moment are not in the collection because I just can't afford them, I reckon. The Brian Johnson stuff's all right, but yeah, no, it was, yeah, Bond was AC/DC for me, but yeah, I would buy the latest stuff too, like Back in Black and Razor's Edge, and I used to have some of them on cassette back in the day, but yeah, haven't bought the newer sort of copies. So yeah, thanks Ben. Sorry I'm so late with it, but yeah, why not? I thought I'd throw one in just to get back into the sort of way of doing videos. Now I can go and put everything back in the shelf now because I've finally got the video done. So yeah, for everybody who watch, thanks very much, and I'll see you later.